I don't want to get into it.
And ain't nobody gonna stop me.
Front yard both times.
Fucking bath towel boy over here.
Alright, well, it's this record
trip?
button. Yeah, about the trip in, guys. Buggy, we give you any time to prepare for some questions about today's topic?
Yeah, this topic I obviously know about, and honestly, I think having changed jobs a couple times in the last couple of years makes me a little more versed in it, at least on a domestic front. And I was looking more today, like on, worldwide, and
Okay.
this topic is obviously one that can go a lot of different ways in regards to how you view it and what you feel is acceptable, required, so on and so forth. But today's topic is on insurance, on basically the healthcare system, right? Where we're at, what we're not doing right, or what we could be doing better, or what other countries are doing better. And the people discussing this tonight are myself, Bug, Mr. Brad B. Nasty, and Pistol here. So the Bermuda Triangle of information. So just get lost in us for a little bit and have some fun,
I like that one. Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. It could disappear.
Yes, into our thoughts. So just don't dream about me, because I come out a lot different in your dreams than in real life. So
Yeah, dude, insurance is such a weird topic. Like, I don't know. It comes up periodically. I mean, especially when, you got to go to the doctor and you're like, oh, hey, do you have your insurance card? Yep. Here you go. Oh, well, your copay, $20 if you got one, or sometimes you have a free copay. But then all of a sudden you still get a bill in the mail. And I'm like, insurance comp. Like, what? What's, when that first happened to me, and I was like, this is a mistake. No, I gave you my insurance card. I called up and I was like, hey, you sent me a bill. Yeah, actually, you got to wait till you hit your deductible. And I was like, shocked. The first time I heard it, I was like, deductible? What kind of fancy term is this thing? So I looked it up, and then
it really is a fancy term, by the way. Like, especially coming out of college, having not learned about all of this.
Yeah, they don't teach you. They don't teach you about taxes or insurance or any of that, but you just get in the world and run into it, and they're like, hey, well, we didn't teach you for a reason. Ha ha ha. Let me blindside you. And
500.
Yeah, and then they're like, hey, so, we're just going to charge you 120. And I was like, I was like, wait a minute. I just talked and you guys didn't do anything. Yep, that's a visit. And I'm like, so starting off, insurance was kind of a bad taste in my mouth, like just kind of hot out the gate. And then I looked to see what like deductibles were. And, I asked about my deductible and premiums, and I had to learn all that stuff. And, it kind of took a minute. And then once you put all the pieces kind of together, you're just like, man, so I have to hit my deductible, and it restarts every year. And when I hit it, then they pay percentages, 70, 30, 80, 20. And then, if you hit it, whatever, big surgeries, or, a lot of times you'll hit it. If you hit it, it's towards the end of the year, guys, like and
you don't benefit from it.
Yeah. And I was questioning like half the time, like, why am I even paying this stuff? Like, what does it do for me? Why is it required? Why do you get a ticket or whatever if you don't have car insurance? I know that's a little bit off topic ish, but like,
it's insurance.
But
Same
it's
concept.
Yeah, but like it's like required, and I'm like, well, if it's required, then how do some people get it for free? Why do I have to pay? And then why does this all this? So I don't know. It's kind of a weird starting point, fellas.
I don't really know, honestly. Like, So my take on it, and like, so I knew what it was, right? Like even coming out of college, I knew what it was. I knew you had to have car insurance, you had to have this, and they have pet insurance now, and you have homeowners insurance.
Do they have pet insurance?
Oh yeah, a lot of companies offer it now.
What? Like if your dog has to go to the vet and you get
my first company out of college offered it, and
I was just asking for a friend.
Yeah, no, they like legit, and like so for ironically, my dog, I thought about getting it because we have a French bulldog and they're notorious for like nasal issues and like knee issues and stuff like that. And knock on wood, he is 8 and we haven't had a lot of issues with him until right before we went on vacation here like a month ago. He tore it's a CCL, but it's basically the ACL for dogs. And we're like, fuck. So that's $1,500, right? Just out of pocket and no insurance, whatever. And I literally thought about it back when we got him. I was like, maybe I should get this pet insurance, but like didn't know too much about it. I don't really know truly what it covered, and maybe it would have helped us. And especially if we had a ton of issues, it probably would have. But anyway, the point being is I had a very good general feel for insurance, like coming out of college. And then now I was with one company for 8 years. And then I had 2 really short-term positions to kind of pave my way to where I'm at now. And the company I'm at with now, like outside of insurance, just talk about a benefits package in general. Like I think I'm in the tech industry, and I think tech is like really doing it well with like benefits packages from home work life balance, and a ton of other things, just time off and ways to make you more family acclimated and stuff like that, where I did not have that when I first came out of college, like partially my own fault. But they always throw you.
That's pretty sick though, by the way. I have to talk about that's pretty sick though, by the way. I might have to talk about that more one day. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, one day.
Pretty sick.
But the whole thing to kind of get back on topic is, from my experience, and obviously we're in different states, but we're still probably operating under very similar situations, is there's always like minimum of 2, if not 3 or 4 packages you can get, right? And from my understanding, they're trying to tailor it to where you're at in your life. When I was right out of college, wasn't married yet, but was dating the girl who became my wife. No kids, whatever. Like, dude, I'm taking the cheapest one. Like, what's going to happen to me? I'm 20, whatever years old. Like, I'm good, and it worked out. But then I have these people that are near retirement that I'm working with, and they're paying much higher per month, but have a much lower deductible. And that's because they're probably going to have more doctor's visits, and they're probably going to have more surgeries and stuff like that. And the funny thing is, I don't find like I'm old. We've already established that I am, but I'm 34. Okay.
Yes.
And I am now at that point where I'm like, do I need to jump up? Because like I'm seeing a chiropractor from time to time to get like fucking like adjusted and all those things, to Brad, to your point, that I'm like, dude, I'm going to pay this copay and I'm going to pay this other bill. And in my head, I'm like, I don't need it. I'm still young. Like I'm going to be fine. So I neglected doctor's visits for a long time.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, I'm good, like, yeah, the standard maintenance I'll still go through and stuff like that. But this little like pinch in my neck, like, nah, no big deal. And this, whatever, like, I'm not going to worry about it because the risk reward, like the reward was not as good as the risk of not going to the doctor. Yeah. But now I'm at that point where I'm like, I got kids now. I got to think about my longevity for them, all that kind of stuff. So,
and you feel better.
Packages, yeah, you feel better. And yeah, I'm also in a different financial state now than when I was right out of college. So it's like, well, now I'm dancing around which package I want to go through. When I was always like the baseline. Now I'm like, what am I going to do? So I don't know.
Like, my packages, buddy. What's going on?
The funny thing is,
it's package.
The funny thing is, my company actually offers a insurance policy that you pay nothing for medical. You pay like with medical, dental, and eye, you'd pay like $7 a month.
That's real good, actually.
But your deductible's got to be high though.
Yeah.
Deductible's a little higher, but then there's the next package where you pay like the next policy. Stop saying package, but the next policy
Yeah, please.
is still not even that
Please.
bad. It's like 30 bucks a month, and your deductible drops a pretty good amount. And like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of it's like a chess game, man. Like, you got to play all these different variables. Like, how many times do I think I'm going to go to the doctor? What's my risk of getting hurt? What's my risk of having surgery? Is my monthly going to offset like what I'm going to pay in bills on this policy versus that? Like, it's just a mind f, man. It really is.
Well, for people out there who maybe don't know tons about insurance or haven't been through the game, like maybe we could break down a little bit on like, premiums, like deductibles, how much, what maybe an average is for deductible, maybe when you have kids, how much stuff goes up, maybe average doctor visit pay, just stuff like that. But just, to hit our ground base so we could, get it going for everyone who had maybe not so educated on this, and then we can get into all the other shit.
Well, they kind of work together like on a teeter-totter. You have a high deductible, typically have a lower premium, and that goes in with the packaging. You can, tip the scales so that you pay more monthly or bi-weekly and your deductible gets lower. You tip it so that your premium is a lot higher, then your deductible typically goes down. But that's where it kind of allows you to cater to situations. Like if you need doctor visits, like you are in that situation where you frequently go to the doctor, have checkups, and you have medications and everything that that you're going to use it, then yeah, you're probably going to pay the higher premium to have a lower deductible, because once you meet your deductible, then you're paying the 30% or 20% or whatever your company or insurance provider is the plan is set up for. So
You can choose that plan. Choose the lower the higher.
Usually you have to choose it once a year, which it's a big timeline to change like what you can't see what's coming up in life. So if
Can we
you're
take a quick step back? Not to interrupt, but like this to define premium versus deductible.
So your premium is what comes out of your check every single time you get paid. You're putting X amount of money towards having that insurance plan, and your deductible is when you actually have to go in for a doctor visit. You have to basically meet X amount of money before, which is stupid.
Yep.
I don't like the idea of deductible, but whatever. It's just kind of what we're set up for.
Yeah.
You have to spend this much money before insurance starts kicking in, and then they start covering the percentage, the 30%, the 70%.
Yeah.
And just so it doesn't get too twisted, like, so for all your doctor's visits and surgeries or whatever that you have, right? I'm gonna break it down simple, right? Your copay, it's a weird thing. You can have a copay, right? Mm-hmm. And I think $20-$30 is like kind of the standard, and that's for show up to someone within network, a scheduled visit, and then let's also the spider web grows, right? In network, out of network, all that kind of stuff too. But let's just say you go to a place that your insurance has a partnership with, right? They're in network. You have your $20 copay. Your visit was $200. Insurance covers $60, right? And then you have the balance to pay, and the balance you pay is what goes to your deductible, right? So insurance still covers something generally, unless you're out of network and you're like at a super specialist, whatever.
Yeah, they're typically specialists for out of network for anything, like you blow your knee out or whatever, like, they specify like ACLs, MCLs, or back, spine, whatever. Like those are typically specialists, and those are out of network.
Yeah, and then I'll pass this back to you, P. I didn't mean to take over here.
No,
but
you're good.
The other part of it is then once that you paid $140 and then another $100 here, another whatever, and say your deductible is $3,000, right? when you finally paid $3,000, then you get what I would call is you get a discount on your insurance, is when insurance then covers a higher percentage. Whereas maybe they were covering, 20% before, now they're maybe covering 80% of your visit or whatever the case may be. But you're basically getting a discount on your visits at that point. The problem is like, you got to play that game on, if I feel like I'm only going to go to the doctor twice a year, right? Or say I go to the
Don't
dentist
get
twice.
insurance.
I go to the dentist twice, the eye doctor once, and then my primary once or twice. So maybe 5 or 6 visits. I'm going to get probably one of the cheaper packages because I want to pay less monthly because I'm never going to meet my deductible.
Yep.
And the slightly more expensive visits individually are far going to be cheaper than paying a much higher monthly fee or biweekly fee
Yes.
than the offset. So sorry,
Yeah.
didn't mean to kind of jump in, but it's when you think about it, I know we're in our 30s now, like we've been exposed to this for, over a decade at the minimum, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, you don't think about how much you have to break it down, like for someone that could be listening that has no idea what the fuck we're talking about.
The hard part is you got to do a lot of the research yourself, because when you go to do your open enrollment, it's a blank package that shows you deductible, premium, what they're going to cover after your deductible. But until that deductible is met, there's gray areas on what is actually going to be covered. So basically, it comes down to like if you're going with a family package or an individual package, because a family package, that deductible is between everyone that you're insuring. So you have 4 different people that, have this happen, this happen, this happen. So you're basically, if something goes wrong with one of those 4 people and they have to have a surgery, or, they blow their knee out or something, you're going to meet your deductible a lot faster, but you're also paying a lot higher premium to cover that many people. And
Yeah. That's where it gets sticky.
That's where it gets sticky, because then it affects your day-to-day life. And can you get by on having that high of a premium? If it's, let's just say you get paid bi-weekly and your insurance is taking out $50 bi-weekly, cheapest thing you could possibly get. But then something happens to your son or even yourself, and you have the worst insurance. So basically, after your deductible, you've already spent a shitload to get the surgery done, and then also you're responsible for half the cost. And the physical therapy, the surgery itself came out to a grand total of $40,000. Well, after you've already paid towards the maximum coverage your insurance is going to give you, so you already have dollars put towards that, then you're still responsible for half of that.
Yeah.
Rather, if you paid a higher premium and they would have covered 80%, that 30% of $40,000 is $12,000, like that they would have covered had you just paid a higher premium. So it's almost like a gamble that if something happens to you, you're not going to get your life destroyed for it.
Yeah.
Like
and
you have a backup system like that that's covered you. But don't let it change your day-to-day life where you can't make ends meet by paying that crazy high of a premium.
yeah, that's good
It
advice.
just makes it, unmanageable.
Yeah, because it might take down, when it might take down your stuff, but then if you don't use it when you think you would,
You lose it.
yeah, then the year starts over and then you waste all that money and didn't get anything out of it. So we're good sticky. So basically, kind of the rundown of what we just covered was premium, what you pay yearly. So that's what you have to pay yearly, no matter what. That will
Just
be
to get access to the plan.
Yeah, that will be there whether your employer covers that or not. Like that is your yearly premium you pay, and they split up between 12 months.
And
then
it doesn't go towards your deductible.
No, it does not. You just pay, say you pay $350 or $400 a month. That is just to your premium, and that's to have insurance, to have that little fancy card in your wallet, purse, whatever. And then your deductible is you go to the doctor, whatever, go have surgery, get your tonsils out, wisdom teeth, I guess it's dental more than medical, but You go do anything, you go to doctor, you got the sniffles, bring your kid in, whatever it is, that will be your deductible. And then they're typically around 3,000, probably the average. I don't know for sure, but around there. And then once you hit that, then insurance kicks in to pay your 80/20, which if you think about it, it's a lot of doctor's visits unless you have surgery that'll hit that pretty quickly. So that's kind of the basis of, what we're talking about. And I guess now that we cover a little basis, fellas, I mean, what are you guys' real thoughts on it? Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you want to change it, despise it, find somebody?
If you're educated on it, you could work the system just like anything else. Like let's say that you have a lingering issue that isn't pressing, but it needs to be taken care of. Like on your next open enrollment, then you could change your plan for that year.
Yep.
And allow yourself to use, especially if you have a family full of things that need to be done.
Hypochondriacs.
It's like you have to.
That can't be real, brother.
We're just gonna put this off. We're a bunch of Quasimodos here. We should probably get adjusted all year.
Yeah.
But like you could change it year to year, which I think I like that flexibility of it.
Mm-hmm.
So but that also, if you're worried about shit happening, then if you go on the lowest plan possible, and then something actually does happen, then yeah, you take a gamble in a sense, and you're going to have to pay for it. But if you plan everything around a certain event, like, oh, I need to get my knee replaced and it's time, then change your insurance. Don't keep the same low deductible or the high deductible freaking low premium plan. Like swap it for that year.
Yeah, for your wisdom teeth or your tonsils or whatever.
Yeah, do it all at once, and so that the majority is covered, and that amount that is covered outweighs the amount of premium that you would pay.
Yeah,
it's just math. Come
on.
Yeah,
yeah. You can take your wisdom teeth out and then hit your deductible if you haven't hit it, and then go get your tonsils out the same year, and then your tonsils will be covered 80%. It's still a little bit, but that is a way to work the system a little bit. Yeah, go ahead, Buck.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to ask you some more positives, but yeah, go ahead.
No, I think we've kind of touched on a little bit of it as a triangle here, but it truly is like playing the system, and I would even say it's playing the system because the options are there, right, for a reason. Mm-hmm. And I think it truly, I think education is massive. Like, again, I think you got to take in
knowledge is power.
Young, exactly. You could be young but have a shit ton of health issues. You could be old and be healthy as a horse, right? I think you have to take, you can't look at your buddy. Like when I first got out of college and I got my first job, went to my first open enrollment meeting. I was like, well, what are you doing? Okay, I'll just do the same. Well, he could have fucking all kinds of things under the sun that I don't know about that he knows he's going to have to get fixed or taken care of or whatever. You truly have to educate yourself because you are an individual and you have to look at your individual situation to determine what's best for you. Because again, I have, knock on wood, been very lucky with my insurance over the years because when I was right out of college, I took the cheapest premium, highest deductible, and never bit me in the ass. And I'm now in my 30s and I'm thinking, maybe I can't play that game anymore because some things might be coming up or I got to look in it, you got to think you see a therapist or you go to a chiropractor or you truly finally focus on having your primary care physician check you out more than once every 5 years, things like that. So
turning cough.
Yeah. Turning cough. And I think it's, you look at it if you're getting individual insurance, but then to P, your point, you look at it if you're doing a family plan. And if you're a married household, a lot of times, at least where I live, when I first came out of college, this wasn't a thing. Now it is. So my wife and I, both of our companies offer insurance.
You doubling up?
No, before, the funny thing is, so my wife just changed jobs 3 months ago. So I'm going to play the scenario when she was at her previous university she was working at. Since her university offered her insurance and my company offered me insurance, I could not be on hers. She could not be on mine. Our companies would not allow it. You'd have to show proof of no insurance, right?
Yeah.
But now
You have
her
secondary
new
insurance.
yeah, but now her company, even if my company offers insurance, I can go on hers and fall under the family plan, which
Yep.
our two kiddos are on, and I'm just an add-on. I don't actually add on any cost to that.
Really?
Yeah, so like basically she is on the family plan of 3 right now, but really a family plan is like a parent and a kid. And then if you have 70 kids or whatever, like it's still the same. There's still the same cost. Me adding in, I do think there's a slight increase, but it's so minuscule in percentage that I'm probably going to end up going on that.
Yeah.
She works for a university that's very deep in medical, and they have a lot of relationships with the hospitals here. So like her insurance is incredible.
The hard thing, she'd have to claim me as an independent or as a dependent though. Like as
On taxes?
no, it's just part of an insurance. Like typically it's a spouse and then dependents. And then after
But I am a spouse.
yeah, that's what I'm saying is that it's
he's saying they
typically,
usually ask you like there's a line for spouse and then below it there's like dependents.
So there
right?
is
Yeah.
there's an increase in charge if I join, but it's very minuscule.
Yeah, well, good for you. I mean, I've looked into it to try to double up because I read about it and I was like, well, if we go to the doctor, we can put both of our insurances and we'll do double up. So you can double up towards your deductible, but then I looked at the premium and I have to pay premium on me and I said it's not worth it.
So that's the funny thing is my company offers a medical policy that has no cost. Like right now, I don't pay anything for medical insurance.
Yeah, and that's where insurance and companies are really the biggest difference is because you have companies that'll pay half. You have companies that'll do this, and this. But if you find the companies that's like, your medical is covered, the only outside factors is like visual, dental, like you have to pay for that. But those are such tiny costs.
They are
in comparison to a medical cost. Like dental's like $5.
Yeah.
Go on.
And in all honesty, I should be on the next package up, the next policy up, because this has been a year where I've had like not health issues, but like I'm just doing more maintenance work on me, right? So I'm like trying to like offset, getting older and like having issues and stuff like that. So for us, it was like, okay, so next year either I bump up to the next level or keep what I have and I pay nothing and I have the benefits of whatever that is. And then I get added onto hers and we pay a little bit more a month, a little bit higher premium for the family package on hers, but I get far lower deductible, far better like copays and in-network support and all that kind of stuff.
If you choose to do that, then realize why you're doing that and take advantage of what you're paying for. So don't start paying a higher premium just because maybe I'll do this. Like the only way it's going to benefit you is if when you made the decision of paying a higher premium because of the back end lower deductible, then stick to it, and that's why you did it. So otherwise, you're just giving your money away for free without doing what you initially thought of doing it for.
Yeah. Don't postpone your planned surgeries or your planned stuff.
So that's the funny thing that I was going to bring up with our thoughts on positive and negatives with insurance. And, I've been fortunate enough to not ever have to worry too much about like, do I go ahead and get this fixed or not or whatever. But think about the people that go down the route where like, okay, so I can't afford this monthly, right? So I got to take a lower policy.
Yeah.
But then I have an issue and I can't pay the cost that's not covered, so I don't get it fixed.
Yeah. So then
that's a bummer for me. You're just neglecting yourself, your own health, your own body
Yeah.
the only terminal you have to get through this life, right? The one thing, your body is your terminal to like each day. And when you can't take care of that, like if you don't get your oil changed or you don't get your tires rotated or you don't replace this, like your car's going to break down.
Yeah, and you have to fix
So,
it and spend money.
and if you're not doing those things for your body, and I'm going to be honest, I was terrible at that, like not too long ago.
yeah,
And I finally, like, to my wife's help, she kind of fucking woke me up a little bit. She's like, you're not invincible, And part of it was denial. I had some family members that had some health issues, and I'm like, I don't know what they're going to tell me, right? So, my dad died of Alzheimer's. We've talked about that on the podcast.
Yep.
I'm like, I don't know what they're going to tell me, right? And I'm like,
yeah,
more so afraid of learning what I could be exposed to.
yep,
So I just neglected it for that reason.
Yep.
And it's like, it's kind of got to the point where it's like, okay, you had your little pity party, fucking move on and grow up and address the issues at hand.
yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at now.
That's the
Well, that's
thing,
the
though.
difference between having
That's
a new
big
car and an old car.
thing. Oh yeah,
Like you don't worry about
Well,
it.
true.
yeah. You're 18. You're
Yeah.
like, brand new. But then,
Yeah.
you get a little older. You got a, Honda Accord.
Things start rattling.
Check engine light comes on, just put tape over it.
Like, oh, here I go. I'm gonna upgrade my insurance now.
Right. And I don't know if you're super young, if you're 18, maybe you get a job that offers insurance, maybe you don't. That's kind of where I feel like a lot of like middle class people are at, where they're like, hey, I'm kind of starting out. I don't know, my job might offer it. I don't know if it's any good. I mean, this is just personal opinion. But I mean, I'm gonna just throw this out before we switch between good, bads, whatnot. But like, you could also think about not opting in insurance, because you might have to just go once a year. You're cold, or you get the flu, or whatever the case is. You might not do anything. You might not need it. I mean, you could, instead of paying your $200-300 a month, you could just pay $100 cash when you go in 3 times a year, twice a year, or whatever. Like, so that's also an option as well. I think,
And you have to know your options. You have to know your
yes,
options.
yes,
I think it's important.
it's very important. That's the thing. Is don't feel pressured to get insurance on if you have to have
It
health
used to be a
insurance.
penalty.
Yeah, now it's so, but also if you're a young kid and you got to take any medications, or I mean, I know that they're getting more and more these days. So if you do have to get medications, also know that they cover medication costs. Like, instead of paying $75 for your medication every month, they drop it down to like $6 or $7. So
Can I just leak a tip that I think is huge that people need to
Hey,
know?
leak your tip.
oh yeah, leaky, but it's already dripping.
Little free, huh?
Easy. So with this new company I'm with, right? So I have a plan, whatever. It is what it is. And I had to get some medicine, right? So I go to the pharmacy, give them my insurance card, get the medicine. I'm like, it's how much? I have to pay, I can't remember, $50. I'm just gonna say $50. It's like, why the fuck is this $50? I'm like, I've never paid for a prescription that was more than like 20. Barely that. So I did a little digging on my company's website, which has a ton of them. Like, if you have a company that really just puts everything out there, like, kudos to you, because there's so many companies that they don't take the time to disclose everything. Sometimes it's on you. It's on you, right, to do the research. But if your company puts it out there and they tell you where to find it, they're not going to say, like, let me walk you through it, because there's however many people in your company. They can't hold everyone's hand, right? So I did the research, and they have all these assets out there, and I was like, okay, so we got a partnership with GoodRx. GoodRx is it's not insurance. Don't think it's insurance at all. It's literally a prescription company, right? And I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe even if it's not offered through your company, you can get it.
Yes, correct.
At no cost.
Correct.
Yep.
And I got a card, and I went back the next time, and you could even go online and look at, so where I'm from, there's CVS, there's Walgreens, there's Walmart, there's all these different pharmacies you can go to. and it'll show you where it's the cheapest. So my $60, $50, whatever prescription went to like $5 the next time.
Yep.
And I don't, it never went on insurance. It's just a free, I created a login and whatever, and it was free. So anybody out there that has prescriptions they're taking, I can't help you on your doctor's visits and stuff like that, but you sign up for this, and it truly is. I don't know how the hell they make money. I'm sure there's a way, but like, this is like, to me, a diamond in the rough where saved a shit ton of money on prescriptions.
It's the modern day version of coupon clipping.
Yeah.
You go and you clip coupons and go and find discounts in grocery stores. That's like a huge one. But the crazy thing is the amount of money that it saves.
Dude, so much.
Yeah.
And it's almost like no, that can't be right. But it is.
The key takeaway is figure out which pharmacy offers the best, because if you go to, like you said, a different one, and it'll still be sometimes more. Like say if you go get like depression medication or whatever, like GoodRx, might cover a little bit, but then you go to Walgreens and then it covers it half, even more, like by 50% more. So just check that. I think is a big takeaway, because I've seen both.
It is, and you can do that on their website. You can plug in your prescription.
Exactly. I think that's a good tidbit.
And then it'll say all these places are within driving distance. Like, I remember plugging it in, and all 3 of the options they gave me were cheaper than what I was paying.
Yeah.
So I was like, what the hell? So anybody out there listening, I hope you take that with you and run with it, because I always heard the commercials or the advertisements of GoodRx, like, I got insurance, I'm good. You don't even pay for this, man. It's just like they give you a card in the mail, and it gives you access to the discounts that they can get you on your prescriptions. So
it's also on you to do your own research.
Yep.
Like, you have to put in the effort.
And that's what I had to do.
Yeah.
If you're complacent and you're just one of these people that is just like, you know what, whatever, I'll pay it, and that's fine. But I mean, I'll have to give kudos to my wife, because she was all about the GoodRx, and she's like, oh no, let me GoodRx at first, and it would be a huge difference. Like, oh, you don't have to pay $50 for this; it's $6.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, and especially if you don't have insurance, it's like, Jesus,
And to bring the question back, like, how the hell do they make money for it? Like, I don't understand. But
I don't know, but there's no catch though. That's the thing, is you might think there's a catch. There's no email list you got to join. There's nothing you got to sign. You literally just go on and be like,
subscription. Like,
you just go up and say, hey, Walgreens, GoodRx it or whatever. And most of the time they're like, oh yeah, we got our GoodRx right here. Scan it. Bloop. Okay, it comes up to this much.
But if you didn't do that, you could pay $50 rather than just doing that. And they'd be like, all right, 3. Like, what? What's the catch?
So think about.
I'll stay.
So think about like. So I was fortunate enough because my parents, their insurance covered me till I was like 25, I think, and my sister and I were on it, and it didn't really save them any money. Like, whatever, if like one of us dropped off or 2 of us, it didn't matter. So we just stayed on it. I was fortunate enough to have insurance from my parents through, I think it was 25.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. So, but for Brad, to your point, for anybody that is, maybe you hit 18 and you're on your own, or 20 or whatever. I don't know what it is, or even out of college, you're still only 22. Take advantage of that GoodRx. Like, if you have prescriptions, like, and you
don't want insurance.
Like Brad said, maybe you're going to the doctor once a year, but that's to get reevaluated for the prescription you're trying to get.
Yep.
Pay out of pocket for that one visit.
Yeah, it'll be like $100.
GoodRx your prescription.
Yeah, it'll be like $100.
You're gonna fucking love it.
$150. Yeah, it'll be a lot cheaper than paying that monthly, even if you use a low premium, because unless you got problems and you're healthy and even if you go and roll your ankle, you're not going to go to the doctor. You're just going to ice it and throw some ibuprofen down, and that's just a lot of the ways kids work. It's how I worked. I was like, I don't want insurance. I didn't have it for a while because I was lucky enough where this dude I was working with, he was cool to me, and he was like, dude, don't get it. He's like, how many times are you going to go to the doctor? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, how many times did you go last year? I was like once. And he's like, well, then
Did I?
don't get it at all. And he's like, you pay monthly. He's like, we pay every paycheck, they take it out. But he's like, he's like, you're probably going to pay $2-3 grand a year. And he's like, they take it out of your check. He's like, use all your money you need. I know you're, hustling, so go get it. And so I was lucky enough where he said that, where I was, pumped about that.
And the funny
So-
thing is the dental and vision, like, so I have contacts and try to go to the dentist twice a year, right? So those are 3 visits that are already under my belt. That insurance is way cheaper than medical. I think
So
Pete, you
much cheaper.
mentioned it earlier. I think
Yeah, and you
with
can
my plan
choose
right
what you
now-
want to cover. You don't have to do 1 or 3 or all of them. You could actually choose if you want dental, medical, vision. Like, you can choose which one you want, by the way.
yeah, and I guess the point is like you can opt out of medical, but you can still go dental and vision. Like,
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
because
Which
it was
are
important to me
cheap.
because contacts are super expensive, glasses are expensive. So I'm like, well, I want to, even though I only go once a year, I want that insurance because it gave me like 6 months free of contacts, and then I paid for 6 months, and it was like far worth it, whatever,
Oh, yeah.
because they're not cheap at all. So you could pay probably less than $10 a month or $20 a month for dental and vision, get your teeth checked, get your eyes checked, and then pay out of pocket for medical and use a good RX card and, be fucking golden. Like, you just have to know what's out there. And I am 34 and I just learned about good RX. And I know it's not been out there for like forever.
Yeah.
It's
But-
when I was coming out of college, it was not out there. But like, you have to, you don't know what you don't know. And I say that in what I do now. Like, in sales for IT, like, companies don't know what they don't know for IT. You don't know what you don't know for insurance and benefits and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of it's on you. Hopefully your company puts it out there on like a SharePoint site that you can just research the hell out of what's available to you. That's also not common still.
Yeah.
Like, I think
Yeah, they don't want.
that's
Yeah.
rare sometimes, but
They don't want their
Ask
deductible to go
questions.
up. So yeah.
yeah. So
But
Yeah.
well, P, how about this? How about we swap a little bit? We've been talking on. Basically, we've hit on how they work, how insurance works. The ins and outs of it, the good side. Let's hit up the bad side. Let's start hollering at some negatives because although
behind.
we've been hitting up all the positive, there are a lot of negatives to insurance. A lot of things that definitely need to change. A lot of things that should be able to change, but they haven't changed for, 10s, 20, long time. They haven't changed. They've been the same thing, and everyone just goes with it because that's just how it is. That's just what it is. And then there's a lot of other countries who don't do what we do and have changed things, and we're just like, oh, well, that's the way it's always been. That's the way it always will be, and we just accept it. So maybe toss out a couple negatives that bug you about insurance.
I think one of the biggest things is deductible. I don't like the fact that you pay all the time, and you see on your day-to-day paycheck what it was, and then all these little things get taken away, and then you see that insurance one, the premium getting taken out. It's like you just kind of account for it. You just kind of have to take it for what it is. But you've just been ingrained. That's kind of how life works. And if I want insurance, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
But when it comes to that point, if something goes wrong and you actually need to depend on your insurance, and it almost makes you think like, well, I've been paying my dues this whole time. So now that, an accident happened, I should be covered, right? And they're like, well, I'm sorry, but you have to pay this much first. Oh, and then we'll cover you.
80%.
I don't like that. It's like, where's all the premium money going? Like,
Yeah.
how many people pay premiums all year that don't get used at all? You don't have to make an insurance claim for once. And you're telling me that I am paying X amount of dollars all year, and then when I need it, I still have to pay on top of it.
Yeah.
That kind of drives me
So
nuts.
it's almost like doubling up, right?
Yeah,
You pay your
it's like,
premium
oh,
and then you have to pay again every time you go to the
it's like,
doctor
oh.
until you hit a certain thing. So you pay monthly and then you pay every visit until you reach your 2-3 grand, which it's a lot of money to a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. That's life altering money. Like you have to plan for that type of thing. There's plenty of people that live paycheck to paycheck, if not only one paycheck ahead, that something like that will set your lifestyle back and you have to change for everything.
Yeah.
And it's annoying that you spend so much of your money. You think of your day to day, think of your 2-week paycheck and think of how much money gets taken away from it. And then when almost like, okay, well, you're up. Like my son broke his arm. Now you're up. It's your time to pay because I've been paying you all. Well, that sucks. Well, pay us. And you're like, huh? What do you mean? I've been paying you all year. They're like, well, you haven't paid us enough. It doesn't matter how much you were going to pay. This is what we agreed to, and this is how much you got to pay us before we start actually contributing ourselves. So, how many deductibles are almost met and not met? So, they've gotten your entire premium and then also your 90% deductible. And then, whew, boy, we really got by that year. So and so paid us all this money and a little bit more. Pay anything. Like I think that's what's stupid.
Yeah. How fucked up is that? They can take your money every week, every 2 weeks, whatever. I mean, I know it's a yearly premium. They've divided up, but they take your money and then you go to the doctor and you're like, I'm covered, but you're not. You're not even close to covered. They're like, oh, well, yep, this doctor's visit's, 100, 120, 150 bucks. Okay, well, to reach 3,000, that's a lot of fucking doctor's visits for any of that. And I know surgeries will cut that in half or whatever, but I mean, not everyone has surgeries. And when you do have it, then you might hit it. But then say it's February and you have to get surgery randomly. Yeah, you'll have to pay all that out of pocket. Say you get a $3,000 surgery. Yeah, you hit your deductible for the rest of the year, but it won't cover any part of your surgery. It won't cover anything towards that 3,000. I mean, maybe a little bit, but like definitely not your 80/20. And that's another part. They only cover 80% when you hit it. They don't cover 100%. I used to think that like, oh, I hit my deductible, I'm good. Nope. They only pay 80%, sometimes 70. It just depends.
Can I even take your guys' comments a step further? And
please. You want a bag, please?
I agree that I'm going to keep it simple for math purposes. Let's just say, and this isn't always the case, but say you pay $100 a month for a premium, right? So $1,200 a year. And it would be lovely that all or even a portion of that. So say I go through 6 months. Okay. So I've paid $600 in premiums and I have to go to the doctor for the first time and my visit's $200. I would love to say that they can just pull that out of my premium bank account, right? Where like I built up $600 and you just pull from that account. Okay. Obviously that's not the case. The premium is just like that's like your Netflix fee to get access into the door, to get, availability to all the content. But if you don't want it with ads, you got to pay more. If you don't want it, so there's always a way that you have to pay more. Here's the thing that really confuses me, right? So I already think that your premium should go into an account that you can pull from once you do have to have a doctor's visit, right? Even if it was just
100%.
I can even right now, since you don't get any of that back, I could even settle for a percentage of that. Say I get 80%, 70%, whatever. The funny thing is when you open enroll, and open enrollment, I know we've said that word a lot, but what that means is when your company you have to choose what plan you want so that you're covered for the next year. Okay.
A certain month out of the year, by the way.
Yeah. So you have open enrollment. you also have this option. You pick your plan, right? Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, platinum, gold, silver, whatever they name it, right?
Yeah.
You also have the option for an FSA or an HSA account. So an HSA account, a health savings account, it's an account that you can pay even more a month. And sometimes, not all the time, your company will match, but sometimes it will. But say they don't. Say you're like, oh man, in the event something comes up, I want to have money set aside already to cover that. You can put into an account that does that, which to me should already be your premium.
Yep.
So you can take the policy you already picked and pay even more to try to cover yourself. And sometimes that rolls over. Sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on the company, depends on the plan, the company or the insurance company you're working with or whatever. But that's the mind-blowing thing to me is you guys already know the concept, right? You guys already know that you have the concept down is I want to put money aside to cover myself so I'm not like hit with a bill out of nowhere, right? So for me and my wife, for example, we have X amount of accounts that are easily accessible, right? Not like in our retirement funds and stuff
Offshore
like that. You can't liquidate. No, that you can't liquidate super quickly, right? So we have this savings account that is like something happened, right? Need a new roof, need this, whatever. Like some of our investments you can't liquidate super quickly. So we have this account that we put in monthly that
your oh shit account.
Oh shit account, right?
Yep.
That's what my premium should be. It should be going into an
it
oh shit
should.
account. Like
1,000%.
But they say no. That's just to get you into the door. But you can pay into this HSA or FSA or whatever. How there's different parameters tied to each one and whatever. But
but
that's
they
the mind-blowing thing to be.
I mean, I don't know 100%, but I know the ones that I've seen or heard they cost more to get that. Which I'm like, well, that's fucked.
Some do.
Yeah.
Some do have access to that.
Okay. I don't know about all. I just looked into one and I was like, what do you mean it costs more? I was like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But to your point, I think 1,000% there should be that. I mean, minimum a percentage of your premium should go into that. Like, so you could use it because, I mean, how fucked up is it that you have to pay a premium? Say you pay $6,000 a year. I mean, that's a big chunk of money for a lot of people. And then you have to go to the doctor and then you have to pay that. Or if you have surgery, there's this thing, I don't know about everywhere, but there's like a care credit card or, there's like health credit cards you can do that'll be like, oh, well, interest free for like 6 months or interest free for a year. And you make payments on it and they'll pay it for you, which is cool because a lot of health plans don't offer like, big payment plans. Like if you go, big surgeries or whatnot. So some of that's pretty cool that they do that. But at the same time, that's still, you're paying double. You're paying your premium every month and you're still paying your premium while you're paying, your surgery off or whatever, like to your deductible. And even if you hit it, then they're 80%. So you still have a big chunk, like, I mean, I hit my deductible before, luckily before I had my kid. So they will cover a decent amount because, I mean, the average birth is like 30 grand at the hospital. My kid was in the NICU. Average stay, I think, was like 3 grand a night. He was there for 3 grand a night. So 7 days. So you're looking at around 50 grand without insurance, just to have a kid.
That's what I'm saying.
And there's nothing you can do about it. They don't let you take him home. Like, oh, no, doc, he's okay. You guys are just overreacting in the NICU. Like his blood sugar is a little low, but what? And maybe not, but you can't do anything about it. You just got to suck it up and be like, oh, 50 grand. Sure. What else you got?
Can I tell you another little life hack? Possible life
I mean,
life hack?
I'm all ears, bro. I don't know everything. I'm all ears.
So this is like if you really, really, really want to grind it out with like hospitals and stuff like that. Don't quote me on this, by the way. This is a non-quotable statement, but I have heard that you can ask for an itemized bill of what you're paying for.
Yeah, and it lowers it. Yeah.
And in the rare case, they can't come up with that because they either didn't document it properly or whatever. But you can get it and see truly what you're paying for, right?
Yep.
And you can dispute it. You can do like there's a lot of different angles you can take after that. Like if you looked and you said like, wow, I paid, $200 a day for water to like have water, and there's things you could dispute. I'm sure there's some legal action you could take by all means. But from what I've heard is if you ask for an itemized bill and you have a little slighter chance of challenging it and getting it reduced, like you said, Brad. Like,
Yeah.
I don't truly know how all that works because I haven't, knock on wood, had to go through that or have even done it, but just what I've heard.
Well,
so
let me chime in a little bit. So I have Aflac, right? You can get that to help when you're hurt.
Aflac.
Right.
Sorry.
Aflac. Right. You can get it when you're hurt, short-term disability, whatnot, but they cover a lot of different stuff. They do, like life insurance. They do, I actually have Aflac for, disability and stuff, but also like for medical stuff if you're in the hospital. Those cover a lot of the NICU stuff. So I'm lucky where I get to go and ask for itemized bill, send it to Aflac. And then weirdly enough, they're like, hey, well, this is going to take like 2 weeks. Okay. Probably because I've heard. All right, here's my logic to it. They do that because if you have insurance, they're going to jack it up to the insurance company, jack it up to your deductible. If you pay cash, why is cash always cheaper? Why are they like, oh, well, your insurance this much. If you had it cash in a pocket, it's like $100 for a visit, but then it's $150 for an insurance one. Why is that? It's because they can charge the insurance companies whatever they want. And so if you ask for itemized stuff, then they're like, well, we can't charge them this for this. They're going to fucking eat me alive. So then they cut it out or knock that price down. And then your stuff's cheaper. And then with Aflac having to do that, because they're going to go through every little step to say, okay, well, I can pay for this. Why are they charging you this? No. They shouldn't charge you for this. We'll cover this, but we're not going to charge you for that because they shouldn't charge you, and then they have to knock it down. So Bug, yeah, to your point, that's an awesome thing. Itemize your stuff for big surgeries or, things that are going to cost a lot of money. It will knock it down.
They are completely relying on, I'm going to give you this bill and this is what you're going to pay. And they're relying on people just being like, oh, okay, well, that's what it is. And I'm going to pay it. That's what they get away with. When you question things and you ask for breakdowns and everything, then that's when they actually have to show proof. And proof's in the pudding. And then they'll just be like, all right, well, we'll work with you. Almost like the natural reaction is, okay, we can change this bill from this bill. So if you're just completely okay with paying like, oh, 40 grand, that sucks. That's what it costs. But then you're like, well, prove it to me almost. Like prove what.
Yeah, why? Why do I have to pay that?
And then they'll itemize it and come back to you and be like, oh, actually it was 34 grand. And then right there, boom, instantly saved
a lot, like thousands.
Yeah, it's because you're calling them out on it. And you're not letting them just tell you what you're paying them.
Yeah, because they'll bully you.
Oh, I mean, that's what they get away with it all the time. And it's just because no one will actually stand up and make it be like, hey, what am I paying you for? It's just, oh, this is because that's what you owe me. Nah. Legally, you have to show me what I'm paying. And when they have to come up with that documentation, it's going to be a little different. And if you want to challenge it, like you were saying, Buggy, you can go down the legal roads of doing it, but that's not what they want to get to. They'll probably try and do something else before you say, hey, well, I'm going to get a lawyer and we'll talk about it. They'll be like, all right, well, how about this? Yeah. It's just like, okay. So all I'm doing is cutting into your profits right now to save you a headache.
Yeah. By the way, a little off topic, and I don't want to derail us here, but if you have to pay anything, like if you're going to collections for medical bills or collections for, your old phone bill, you swap companies and also you didn't pay whatever the case is, there will be, you can call up, there will be companies or whatever, like they will say, hey, you owe us this much money. You say, I don't have it. And then they're like, well, can you pay this much money? No, I don't have that much money. They're like, oh, how much this much? I'm like, dude, I got $100 in my bank account. Whether you do or not, I would recommend saying that. And they're like, hey, well, if you can come up with, $250 by the end of next week, we'll drop it to that. Even though your bill's like $1,500, they will drop that thing way down. No, it's just crazy concept because they don't actually give a shit. They just want some money from you rather than no money because they're never going to get paid. And even if it might ding your credit a little bit or whatever, like, I'm not saying like everyone's in that position, but just know that fight back sometimes. Like, don't let everyone bully you around or tell you exactly what you have to do because you don't know better. I mean, definitely get educated, but if people tell you something, be like, hey, no, that doesn't sound right. Let me look into it. And then when you hear the panic in their voice or, hey, well, how about we do this? Then you have the power. Then you got all the cards in your hands because even if you have no money, no nothing, like they want something from you. Just know that you have power. They want something from you. You don't. I mean, you might owe them something, but just know, like, don't ever feel powerless. I guess is probably the right way to frame that.
It's because it's such a not an unknown, but like medical bills and doctor's offices, like there's such a like confusing aspect to it. And it can be confusing because you're not educated or because you're just not aware of what's available to you that you feel like you have to turtle up and like take what's given to you. I recently had I hadn't really like done a lot of doctor's visits like also like eye care and like the generic things like for a long time. And then end of last year had some things come up and I was like, I kind of got to like focus on these things and like figure them out. So I got a primary doctor and I visited him virtually for the first time, like last fall, winter timeframe, and gave him an insurance card, whatever. And then the spring hits. And because I had been so like unattentive to my needs, I wasn't on this app that like I can easily go onto my phone and like see like my doctor's visits, messages from my doctor, my upcoming appointments, paying a bill. Like there's so many apps and like easy access to all that kind of stuff. So I got that. And then I was like, oh, I got this message in here. And I was like, oh, I got this bill from December of 2021. And I was like, oh shit, I got to pay that. And I looked at it and it was like $200. I'm just going to say that. But there was no insurance covered none of it. Like I had insurance. Like it wasn't like I had a specialist visit. It was just like a consultative meeting with my new primary to determine if he was going to be my primary. Tell him some of the shit going on with me and whatever. So called my insurance company or called the doctor's office. I was like, hey, I see that insurance didn't cover any of this. Like, why is that? And they said, oh, okay, well, this is the insurance we applied to the account. It turned out, long story short, it was right around like a job change. They probably partially my fault. I either gave them the wrong insurance or they applied an old insurance to that bill. And since that insurance wasn't active, it didn't cover any of it, which makes sense. So, it took a few weeks, but tracked down. So then this happened like a month ago. And I was like, well, shit, I don't have that old insurance card because that was in December and I changed jobs in February. I was like, well, I don't have that insurance card anymore. I got to fucking figure out I don't even remember if I had, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, United Healthcare, you name it. So I was able to track down what my old insurance was, what my old policy number was, my group number, and I had to call claims. So it had been, I think claims is like 6 months or something like that. It had been like 7 months. And I finally was able to get that. I called claims and I was like, hey, look, I have the money, but I also am not paying for the full bill because I have insurance. I said, the problem is they applied the wrong insurance at the time. That was the wrong, here's the right. and they applied it. And the funny thing is, they're like, okay, well, this could take anywhere from a couple weeks to a full year. And I'm like, well, I don't want this to ding my credit. I don't want this to affect me. And they're like, no. Once you do your due diligence, and this could be wrong, but they're like, it's going to be out there where there's a track record, there's a history and everything like that. Like, you've given us the right insurance. They're going to apply it, blah, blah, blah. So it's a little different than Brad's point, but also don't just take any bill that's given to you as like what you owe, because I saw that.
Yeah.
And it's probably only going to save me like $40 in the long scheme of things, but like, I'm not going to pay what I don't owe. And
it's a principle.
Yeah, it took me. Yeah, it's a principle of it. It took me a little bit of time, and I know time is money and your dollar per hour and whatever, but like, I'm going to go ahead and figure out what happened. One, so I educate myself on what I did wrong, because I'm sure I had a part in that. And then once I figured that all out, I was like, okay, now it's in your guys' hands. But again, it's going back to Brad's point where like, just because you get a bill doesn't mean that's like exactly what you owe. We brought up, go ahead.
They feed off ignorance. Like, they feed
100%.
off the people that are just going to accept it. Kind of the same concept. I mean, if you want to take it at a different angle, of a car salesman, they're going to bring you a price and they've already calculated their profits, what they're going to make. And they're willing to cut into their profits if you just, give a little fight back.
Yep.
Because that's not the dollar amount that, this is it. That's all it is.
Hey,
It's
just a little
the same
tidbit.
Goddamn concept.
A tidbit real quick, Pete. I'll let you finish. By the way, medical bills should not be hit against your credit. They will be taken off every time as long as you fight it. But if you don't, they can stay on there, by the way, but you have to fight it. But they cannot legally ding your credit for medical bills. Sorry. Tidbit. Throw that out. Go away.
And that is one of the bills you have the most time with because of that reason.
Yep.
I'm not saying don't pay what you don't pay what you truly do owe. Like, find a way to make that happen. But it is one of the bills that you can kind of buy some time with. You kind of figure some things out. You can find other options, other alternatives and things like that.
Yeah.
Like payment plans, whatever. Like, there's always an option out there.
Yeah. But
anyway.
just fight back. Don't be a good employee for them. They're assholes. They just take away way too much money for a lot of stuff that you don't actually use. They get plenty of money. They're some of the richest companies in the entire world. So don't feel bad about fighting back against them, because they got plenty of cash and they're not hurting at all. So, and they'll fight you for every tooth and dime. So yeah, push back sometimes. It would be good for you. Sorry, Pete, go ahead.
I don't even remember where I was at now.
Your bottom
insurance.
center of my screen.
Insurance,
What a scam.
All right, podcast over. See you next week, boys.
Well, I mean, sorry we interrupted. I just had to throw in that tidbit before I forgot, and I fucked PL up. That's on me. That's my bad. But I don't know. And so basically, we've covered, the basis of insurance. Good. Hit a lot of the bad. Maybe we can dabble on some change. What we think would be better to change, insurance wise, or maybe a better option. I mean, we could even copy or mimic some other countries that do it way better than us, or maybe a simple switch of this, like what you're saying, like a health savings account, that they do it for us, just maybe some shit like that would make life a lot better or easier or more acceptable. Because the way it is right now, I don't agree with it, and I don't think many people do. I mean, there's little loopholes, but still at the end of the day, you're paying way too much money for, covering yourself, and seeing how other people do it. Canada, they get free healthcare. They pay more in taxes, but anytime they go to the doctor, it's free. They don't take your insurance card. They don't do any of that. Like, hey, I need help. Boom. Covered.
That's also just how it is. People who oppose that don't have an option to it.
Yep.
They're just paying higher taxes for it.
Yeah, and there's not as many specialists. I get that, but still, it's covered. It's free. Day-to-day shit. It's good. So,
Is it free?
no, I mean, you pay taxes,
because
but how much do we pay taxes right now? And
well, how much could you educate yourself and better that? Like you figure out something that works for you, and you make yourself smarter in paying less, and then also when the time comes, you're covered. Like, if you do the research, you could make it work and make it work well. It's just the fact that it's a blanket. This is free, and this is basically we did the thinking for you, but we're gonna make you pay for it. Everybody, blanket.
Well,
everybody has to pay the taxes for it.
So
no, let me finish. So
okay,
that's where I can see the way that it appears and how it would be like, okay, free healthcare, that's great. You pay more taxes. That's just basically the same damn thing as an insurance company taking a premium from you.
But you're getting the buyback from that premium.
Every time you go, you don't have to hesitate at all because you don't have a deductible or sure you go in and it's free. Also, quick question, how much percentage wise do you think comes out of your paycheck every month for taxes?
It just depends on the state.
State definitely matters because Timbo, who's not here tonight, and I think in Washington they don't pay
state tax.
Yeah, state tax
or sales tax.
No, they pay sales tax. Montana doesn't, tax. But but you got to pay city tax still. Maybe not state, but anyway. So average ish, right?
60 to 65% is what you take home from your check, right?
I usually do my, like when I'm trying to figure out my check, even with everything included, I always times it by 0.65, and that's what I figure that I'm taking home.
Yeah, and I know that can fluctuate because your check also takes into account
gone, right? So the reason I bring this up is because so I went to Cancun vacation. There was a couple Canadians there. It came up one day. They were pretty cool people, and I was like, "Hey, you guys really not pay anything for, healthcare or anything?" And like, no, we just walk in, no card, no nothing, and whatever's wrong, they fix it. Those doctors, they schedule your visits. It's pretty quick and easy. There's no, you don't have to fill out tons and tons of paperwork, blah blah blah. So I was like, okay, well, you guys, how do you pull that off? We pay taxes on it, blah blah blah. Okay, how much do you pay? And astonished as I was, he said, blanket out of every paycheck, 30% across the board. Boom, covers everything. Health insurance, whatever tax that they pay, like city, state, whatever, it's just 30%, boom, across the board. And I was like, well, fuck, we probably pay that, and then we pay more, and I was... So not that they're like thriving and blowing up, but still, you know what I mean? Like that's pretty decent.
So it's interesting you say that. So my wife has a very good friend that lives in Canada, and I asked her I was like, hey, can you just quickly I don't need a dissertation. I just want to get like a quick bullet point from your friend because this is a topic we're going through tonight. And So for those who are listening who don't know, like generally in Canada, things are more expensive. Like I don't know the ratio, but it's more expensive to live in Canada. However, you're probably like, so for example, I live in Missouri. I'm compensated for like my economic footprint compared to if I were to do my job in California, I'd probably get paid a lot more. If I did my job in New York, probably get paid more. Like, yep. I think it's relative. Like, I can't say it's 100% flat across the board, but I think it's kind of relatively speaking. But the one thing that her friend said is, okay, sometimes getting into a specialist may take a little longer unless it's an emergency. If you don't have an emergency and then these 3 people do, they'll probably get priority over you. But yes, we pay higher taxes for it. But she said, generally speaking, the company that you work for will pay you to help offset that.
Yes.
Not every time, because every company's different. The companies I've worked for are different in that regard as well. And even what I do, like I could get paid, 15 grand more going to this company or 15 grand less going to that company doing the exact same thing. So it's all relatively speaking, right?
Yeah. And the people I talked to, they were teachers. So they got it covered.
And she basically said that, companies try to compensate for those higher taxes. They'll pay you a little bit more to offset that.
Yep.
So it's like, if you look at it on just the surface, I would do it. I would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I could just go in, walk in and not have to worry about it. And like all that kind of shit. Like even the paperwork alone is just a headache, like,
oh
yeah.
I don't know. Sit down.
I just looked this up. It says, how socialized medicine hurts Canadians and leaves them worse off. Canadians pay out-of-pocket health costs close to what Americans pay, yet the tax burden is 36 to 51% higher than Americans. So, up to 51%. So 30% is...
So we pay 35 and they pay 31
up to 51.
Up to 51, okay. I mean, that is a little bit higher, but they also don't have a deductible or anything. I'm not saying it's perfect or anything. I'm just, it's definitely something to think about and look at because, just hearing like, they even say that and I was like, what? And then he was like, on top of that, our company pays for half of our insurance for both of it. And I was like, or for not insurance, but for like to compensate towards your taxes. And they didn't get into like exactly how that worked, but there's got to be like some thing to help. And yeah, they might have, higher cost or whatever, but fuck. I mean, you look at the West Coast, you look at Washington, Oregon, Cali, they're paying through the roof on taxes. Like a lot. They pay. It's so much money. The cost of living is through the roof up there. And I mean, I just think it's worth talking about because nobody brings this shit up. Nobody talks about it. Like,
Can I ask a very simple question yet complex at the same time?
Oh, I mean, might as well just ask it.
So I had a boss that when I first got into sales, right? He said, you have to look at your dollar per hour, like for what you're doing each day, each week, each month. Am I going to spend so I get paid this much, right? And then if I divide that by the average number of hours I work times the days of the year, blah, 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 I make this much per hour. So if you could figure out what you do for a living and what your dollar per hour is, and then am I going to work on this customer that is a huge headache that spends nearly no money with us, but then they ask for 3 times the amount of my time than this customer over here that spends millions of dollars a year, asks very little for me, but they will continue to give me business. Mm-hmm. I would rather lose this customer over here, continue to grow this customer, right?
Yeah.
To maximize my dollar per hour.
Yep.
Okay, so simple concept, right? So we all understand that.
Yep.
So let's convert this to insurance. My headaches with this customer were very, very high. And I was spending way too much money on them. I was spending hours upon hours, whereas this company, I was spending few hours. So like they cost me nothing to make so much money off of. Insurance, would I rather simplify all the nuances? Think about the system we have today. We pay a premium to meet a deductible, to have a copay, to have an FSA, HSA, all these nuances and all these variables. Yeah. And I get it. P, to your point earlier, if you play your cards right and you figure out the equation that works best for you, you can have the cheapest insurance for the best policy that works for you. Totally get that. Would you rather just say, I'll pay, say you could calculate that number, right? And it's $80 a month. I'm just going to keep simple math. Or I can never have to do any of that. I don't have to worry about what's in network, out of network, my copay, I don't have to, I can't go to the closest doctor to me because my copay is going to be higher. It's out of network. I have to go 10 miles more down the road. blah, blah, blah. Or I just say, look, I'm going to pay $100 a month and I get whatever the fuck I want, wherever I want, make it simple, easy. I know when I go in, I'm going to get taken care of and I'm only paying $100 a month. I never have to worry about any other variable, never have to worry about any other nuance, any other specialists that I see. Like, to me, where I'm at in my life and my financial status and where my family's at, I would rather pay a little bit more a month or a year or whatever to knock out all the craziness and just say, look, yes, I could maybe pay less per year, but I don't want to deal with all the fucking headaches.
Yeah.
So I'm just
There's
going to do this one
convenience.
flat rate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to simplify
to me-
it.
Yeah, and then it's simplified, it's done. I can go wherever. I could be on vacation in Florida and something happens and I'm like, it's cool, guys, I got this, like, I got the gold card. I can go in here and they'll do everything I need and I walk out and it's still the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's actually a smart way to think about it. That's good.
So I get
The
that.
question is what would you prefer? Do you want to do all the like research, all the math, all the whatever, or do you want to pay a little bit, potentially a little bit more?
Well, speaking of math, P, let's do a quick math real quick because I think you brought up an interesting point where they told me 30%. You said it can go up to 51 for that, which that is really high, right? So if you did your times, whatever it was, like 35% ish, what it came out to, your math for your paychecks, right? So does that include any deductible or no?
No, that's just my day-to-day paycheck.
Okay, so say if simple math, if you make 50 grand a year, your deductibles $3,000, right, or 3,500, I don't know, whatever it is. So if you added that in, whatever that would be, divided by 12 or whatever, how much more would that add to your paycheck if you had to reach that? Plus, you still got to pay 80%. Like, would that level things out, do you think? I mean, I know we haven't gone into any math, but
I just don't know exactly how the healthcare system works, because are they just covering deductibles that deductibles isn't a thing over there. So
yeah,
basically everything
they just go
covered.
in.
So
yeah, no matter what surgery it is, no matter if it's heart surgery, liver, broken thing, sniffles, whatever, they cover everything. You don't have to pay a dime ever
for your heart surgery.
No, you don't have to pay a dime.
I'd have to see more research. There's no way that could be for real.
From what I understand from my wife's friend, like
they don't.
The beauty of that is, like, you could be healthy as a fucking horse, never had any health issue ever. Then you wake up one day, you get out of bed, and you just fucking collapse. Yeah. And then you have to have a massive, massive surgery for whatever that is.
Flight it out.
And they're like, hey,
yep.
Like, to me, what they're saying as a country is those severe circumstances level out with the mild ones. Where it all, maybe we could make
averages
a little bit
out.
more, maybe we could lose a little bit more, but it averages out. And again,
I mean,
it'd take a lot of research and math to probably truly define that. But
the
love that. I would rather pay a fee a month and just know that I'm covered across the board. I'm getting to that point, right? Like, I'm not quite there, but I'm getting to that point. Like, this 22-year-old me would say, fuck no, I'm going to pay the cheapest thing and never have to worry about it. But no, now I'm getting to that point where, if you could tell me that if I pay X amount a year and I'm covered on anything, I'm actually probably would get more things checked out, to be honest. I would probably go to the chiropractor more. I'd probably go to this person more, just because it's no skin off my back.
The research published in Archives of Internal Medicine found that heart bypass surgery, a common procedure, costs an average of $10,373 in Canada, compared to $20,673 in the United States. So they do pay. So I'm not buying it.
That's news to me. Yeah, I mean, that's so. I guess I would ask, what they don't cover because when I talked to the people from there, they said they pretty much cover everything. You just walk in.
Public healthcare is paid through tax money. Basic healthcare services like hospital visits and medical treatments are free. That's checkups and everything. That's so. What I was kind of going with is just like,
yeah, but hospital visits aren't checkups though.
Yeah, but surgeries and everything. That's what I was saying. There's no way that could be free because you got knee surgery. Just run up Canada, get yourself fixed, and then come back. Like,
Well, I mean, that's the way, it sounds like. Can you search knee surgery? I mean, okay, besides heart surgery, which is crazy. I mean, is there any other surgery that, that they might not cover? But it sounds like they cover a big percentage, though. Like they still covered more than half of what we pay.
It sounds like their system is simplified to ours, yet there still are some variables, right? Like,
Yeah,
could be the case where, hey, look, you get all the basic shit covered, you get all this, blah, blah, blah. But look, man, you got to get chemo. You got to get chemo. Like, we got to charge you a little bit for that or whatever. I don't know. But like,
I think that eliminates your deductibles and your copays. I think that's all it eliminates. Everything outside of that, you're paying.
So if they don't have a card though, like how do you charge that? Is it just a flat bill that says, hey, like you need chemo, then for each treatment it's going to be X amount of dollars. We're going to bill you to every time, because like taxes aren't going to cover that, right? If not everybody has to get it. They can't charge everybody the same. If it's not covered for all, you can't charge all, right? Or no?
But your checkups and everything are just basically covered.
But
like so your special situations, obviously, it's not just gonna be like, oh, we got you.
Yeah. Okay, but let's put this in perspective. Like say we've had surgeries, whatever. Like I'm sure they cover like tonsils and wisdom teeth, and maybe some MCL, ACL. Maybe they cover heart surgery or chemo or whatever. Bone marrow transplants. But for the main stuff, I mean, for the average person, probably doesn't have to get. I mean, those are special cases. Maybe you'd want to pay a little bit more. Maybe you want to stay how things are now, but maybe you'd want to pay a little more so you never had to pay for a dime other than your taxes. And companies could help you out to help alleviate some of that money. And unless you had heart surgery, yeah, you might pay 10 grand, but in the US, you got to pay 20 grand and your deductible and.
Can I give you guys?
So, I mean,
I could be persuaded in like 10 seconds, I'm sure, but this just hit my head. So bear with me, judge me all you want, critique it.
Typically, yes.
But I'm going to throw a scenario. I'm going to throw a scenario out to you guys. All right. So we're going to talk US. I would love for it to be worldwide, but let's just talk US, right? Worldwide could be interesting because you have different professionals that have different specialties or different like perfectionists like in different countries. But we'll just talk we'll take the USA, right? I am going to propose a health insurance plan to you guys, okay? Purely medical, dental, and vision. Just going to group them all together.
The three amigos.
Or it could be broken out, and hear me out because it might make sense. I don't want to complicate it. I'm going to try to simplify medical insurance as simply as possible. And this could be done for dental and vision, whatever. But let's just say there's a grouping of doctors, right? You have the WHO, right? The World Health Organization, whatever. But let's just say we have that for the US. And we say, look, over the past 10 years, these are the situations we've been faced with for the common cold or someone that needs medical assistance for this stuff, chemo or cancer or common cold or COVID or whatever, like all these different health issues you could possibly have. And they look at all the cases over X amount of year period. And they said, tier 1, the most common shit we go to the doctor for. Here's tier 1. Then not quite as common, but still happens quite frequently, is tier 2. And then however many tiers you want to create, whether it's 3, 4, 5, whatever. You could say, look, I'm going to pay $100 a month and all my tier 1 are covered no matter what. No questions asked. But everything else I pay a premium on. Right?
Mhm.
But I want to be covered for tier 1, 2, and 3. I pay $200 a month. But everything outside of that I pay more. Like so basically you figure out all these groupings based on what's the most common symptoms or the common issues that people have, the rarest issues, whatever. And then you just say like, look, I want to be covered 100% for all of these things because I am more susceptible to these issues happening to me. So I'm going to, and maybe I don't ever have them, but I'm at least going to cover myself for it. But I'm willing to pay more for all these things that like I didn't cover myself. And you basically determine as an individual what you're going to cover for yourself. So when you get, sounds terrible that I'm going to say this, you get cancer and you didn't pay for that tier to cover yourself. Sorry, man, like you're going to have to pay more for that, like the treatments and things like that. But you played that risk.
And the funny thing is, like, that's how I thought of insurance before I actually had to deal with insurance. Like, that's what I thought I was getting.
Gotcha.
When I started paying for it. So when it turned into not being like that, that's when you end up having to dive into it and actually think about it. By the way, childbirth free in Canada.
Yep.
So that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big
positive.
That was huge.
Technically, every country you can give birth to a child, no cost. It's just
except ours.
Aftermath.
But I don't know. I was throwing out there. But hey, do you guys know what our taxes go to?
Wait, what?
What
Social
like
Security,
when we pay our
state.
taxes, right? Yeah, but what does that actually mean? Do you guys actually know what when we pay taxes?
Well,
do you guys know where it goes?
Salaries of public service, roads, cities.
Yep.
Police, fire
municipality
department,
improvements.
Yep.
Like
Education.
Yep.
So that's what's hard is those people that actually do that type of stuff. In order to get raised and stuff, have to raise taxes to go along with it.
Did you know that law enforcement and basically everything you named is under 8% of what we actually pay?
Say that again.
So
their wages.
That will cover 8% of what our actual taxes go to out of 100%. Law enforcement, roads, so law enforcement's roads, natural, what do you call them? Like natural forest, So
100%. So if you take 100%, let's just say for simplicity, 35% of our pay goes to taxes. So 100% of our taxes, only 8% of that goes to those situations.
Yep.
Well,
so 25% actually goes to Medicaid. So people who actually don't have to pay for insurance in our country, 25%, right?
Yeah.
Social Security is like 20, I think, around there. I know like for defense, like Army, whatever, that's like 13, 15-ish, right? And then there's like a massive chunk missing, right? Maybe like another 15, 20% that's just like, economic growth or economic whatever for our government to basically dictate what they want to do with like 25% of taxes. They can just
say
very
undefined.
Yeah, very gray area that nobody really knows. They could do whatever they want really with it is what's kind of fucked up, I think.
And to clarify, that's 25% of our
100%.
100%.
Yep.
So for those listening, we're as a group here, we're just saying that roughly 35% of your pay goes to taxes.
Yep.
So that 35% becomes our 100% of tax pay.
Yep.
25% of that. So 1/4 of that we it's up to the government's discretion of where it goes, how it's divvied up,
Yeah.
how it's paid out.
Yep. So basically, 25% goes to our government, whatever they want to do with it. They're like, oh, hey, well, I can do inner cities or, boost my campaign, whatever they want. And then the other 25% goes to Medicaid, Medicare, stuff like that. So that's 50% of our taxes go to that. I mean, and it's just kind of shitty that we pay a lot in taxes and there's people who don't make enough money, which is unfortunate. There's a lot of people who struggle, whatnot, and they get, free money or they don't make enough. But then if you make over that threshold, like I don't make billions of dollars or anything, but I don't hit the threshold to hit low enough where Medicaid or anything covers any of my kids. So along with IVF, along with childbirth, along with the NICU, I gotta pay fucking $100,000 combined.
It's a system to kind of hurt the middle class.
Oh, it's fuck the middle class, basically.
Yeah, the higher tier class, the high society, high class, whatever, they either pay the taxes or find loopholes to not have to pay the taxes, which is probably a lot of the case because that's why the richer get richer and the poorer get poorer.
Yeah. The only
because they got that figured out. The middle class are the ones that are just your day-to-day, honest living that get screwed over if they even make $1,000 more than
the lower class.
To bump them into another tax bracket. So I'm saying
it's fucked.
Sometimes overtime and stuff like that, kind of keep an eye out. You don't want to make too much money. Yeah. There's a difference between making it by and then be like, oh, I'm coming up on my tax bracket, so I should probably just take this week off, call in sick for a week.
Yeah, you can literally do math, figure out the tax bracket and then divide that by how many hours you average, and then be well,
if I work this week, then I'm actually going to cost myself about $4,000,
or
when it comes
more,
to taxing.
Yeah, or more, and more. And that's the thing. Everyone's like, "Oh, taxes are rich." I know we're getting kind of, off topic here, but the rich don't pay taxes unless you're a doctor or somebody who specializes in something. They might pay taxes, but the rich we all talk about, they don't pay any taxes because they own real estate, and you got to pay. Everything's a write off, and then they hide their money, and then they buy new properties. They don't. You can never tax Nancy Pelosi, Trump. Everyone gets mad at Trump, but he does the same thing everyone else is. He just gets exposed because he's hated. But Nancy Pelosi, you look at any of these rich people. I mean, Nancy Pelosi is the definition of insider trading.
So let me ask you this.
Sorry, a little rich.
Martha Stewart.
I know we're definitely getting off. We're definitely getting off the track of insurance. However, this could be a segue into a good conversation to have.
Yes,
because I'm gonna put this out there, and it's gonna raise some conversation. Try your best to think about this as something to talk about on another podcast. But there's a lot of situations for middle class, upper class, lower class, whatever, where you can take advantage. We just talked about insurance, right? And how to take advantage of the system to the best of our abilities.
Yeah.
To look at your situation and maximize what you receive versus what you're putting into it, right? So
yes.
I'm not going to agree or disagree with this. I'm just going to put it out there. And I know, Brad, you already kind of got that face that says you know where I'm going. The rich, right, the upper class, are taking advantage of the quote-unquote loopholes, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of tax breaks with real estate, how you position your business, how you formulate what your business looks like, and you then take advantage of the tax breaks.
Yeah, which is fine. I'm not hating on them.
No, and I'm not saying you are by any means. But in anybody's financial situation, are you not ever? You're always looking for the way to maximize your return and reduce your output, right? So there's all these little quirks in insurance and taxes and when you refinance your home, when you sell your home, when you buy a new home, whatever you do, there's always like a loophole. And I say loophole, like sometimes it's like you save a few thousand, which is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
I would just
over
say
time
that,
it's going to be a lot more, I think. But yeah.
yeah. And I just think that it's very interesting because we want to tax the rich more and like give, but like,
That's
know.
such a
It's-
joke to
it's-
me, though. I mean, I laugh when I hear that. I'm like, come on.
it's just a weird concept because like everybody's trying, like the
Yeah,
rich want to
but-
get richer, right? They want to, they could want for like, substantial wealth over like decades or life.
Yeah.
Like they want their grandkids and their grandkids to be like set up for life, right? So they're trying to like set up a whole generation of kids, and we might be trying to just get to the next decade, right?
Yeah.
But they're looking for these loopholes because they want to maximize their output for the generations that come behind them.
And cool,
And-
you know? Like, good
Yeah,
good
and-
for them. Good for them. I just hate, like, real bad. I hate, you take Nancy Pelosi. I threw that out there because I think she's an awful person. But, you know, you can't avoid taxes, right? And then say, we need to tax all the rich. We need to go get so-and-so and do this. She knows that it's just a big fugazi. It's not a real thing. Like, she knows that you can actually do that because of the real estate loopholes and how many things that you can actually do to not pay taxes, to write off so many things where it actually looks like you take a loss. She knows that. So doing that to persuade people to vote a certain way or to sway people's opinions, to me, is super fucked up. And I don't agree with any part of it. Is why I feel the way I do about that shit.
That's politics, though.
I know,
Politics
but
is dirty and disgusting, and it's fucking
fucked up,
shady.
though. You're going to sway
But-
people's opinion when you know well, in fact, that you can't tax the rich. You could, but how many people?
Oh, sure you can.
I mean, what?
You can, but they'll beat it. They'll beat the system. That's why they're fucking rich.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't actually do it. You can say, "Oh, we're going to do this." It doesn't actually work because they've beaten it for years. They know how to do it. They can write off enough things where you don't actually pay or pay minimal. You know, and
Well, that's the difference between like actual resolve in politics, because you can make something look sexy and have it appease the people who don't understand it, and they'll take it at face value. But,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's about time you tax the rich, and they're like, tax me. I
Yeah.
know how the system works because I've educated myself and I understand the system. So, and she knows that. Everybody knows that who's actually trying to go
Yep.
like, oh, I'm going to tax it. So,
yep.
I mean,
it's
you-
fucked up though.
So
it is fucked up, but that's what is annoying about politics, is because politics are fucked up in general.
Well, that's also why we need to educate the people about it, because if they're educated and they know that the tax can get rich, they're probably not going to buy it, you know, when the next thing comes around.
the crazy thing, and I've been saying this to my wife for months now, and I'm trying to, we're actually slowly making steps towards this. This, I guess, financial decision, right? Like really trying to understand like where our finances should go and how to use them and whatnot.
Mhm.
So I came across something. It's on social media, so I took it for a grain of salt, and it was,
Life insurance.
I think I've actually said this on this podcast, but oh man, it was 90% of millionaires over the last like 20, 30 years became millionaires through real estate. And I was like, there's no fucking way. So I did some research, and literally 9 out of 10 millionaires in today's age became millionaires through real estate. And I have an opportunity to get into that, but it's like so scary because sometimes, depending on how you do it, you could do it with no real estate license, no upfront cost, no whatever. Like you could find ways. The really, really, really smart investors find ways to get into real estate with like little to no upfront cost. and they build upon that. Like for me, my route would be a little bit of an investment and like whatever. Doesn't matter how you do it. Long story short is millionaires are become billionaires, and eventually we're gonna have the first trillionaire. Like we're pretty close there as it speaks.
Ellen.
But and my whole thing is like there's a lot of like people that are now putting out there how they're getting to where they are, and sometimes you have to pay for it, sometimes you don't, but the information is out there. Just like we were talking, I'm trying to pull this back into the insurance world, just like how we were like touting with insurance. You have to educate yourself. You have to dig deep, understand what's available to you, what's out there, the right plan based on your lifestyle, based on your family, based on your health issues, based on dozens of other variables. Becoming quote unquote rich, and that could be to some people just paying your bills every month, and to others owning a second home, owning a boat, owning a plane, owning whatever. I don't know what that means to everybody. But long story short is we can all get to where we want to go. For some, the road's gonna be a lot harder because your resources aren't as plentiful as like others. But there's a way to get to where you need to go. And there's plenty of stories of someone who was literally like had literally nothing that became something, or someone who had everything and became nothing. Like there's always a way to get to where you want to go, and also a way to completely collapse. But obviously in the last like 20, 30 minutes, we got a little off topic, and insurance was kind of our route, but it kind of comes full circle, right? I haven't used that term in a little bit, but just like getting wealthy, insurance is another thing. You just got to do your education. You got to figure out what you don't know and ask the questions and challenge beliefs and kind of make sure that you're not just being complacent with what's presented to you on a piece of paper in front of you.
Yeah, definitely understand it before you look and be like, oh, this guy's rich. You're so lucky. Like that type of mentality is just like that's kind of annoying to me. And there's always little ways that you can educate yourself to kind of counter certain things that are quote unquote happening to you.
Yep.
You can get ahead of that. It's just because you didn't put in the effort to do it that you felt like it should have been done for you that you're complaining about.
Yeah.
Before you complain about it, like look at all the angles first. And don't just be like, oh, if only I would have done this, and then not do that. Like, just go do it before you bitch and complain about it.
Yeah.
It's not
it's your life.
It's not a system that is going to do it for you. You have to go do it, and that's why people are rich. People are happy in their investments, and investments, a huge key term.
Yeah, and you can make a lot of money.
You can't just complain about that. I have no money. I'm broke. Blah blah blah. It's like think about what you've done in the past. Could you have potentially? You could have someone come and just drop knowledge on. Okay, so you had $2,000. Okay. This is what I could have done with my $2,000. This is what you did with your $2,000. What's the difference here? I've got more money and you're bitching. So that's up to you to figure out how to do that. Like, no one's going to do it for you.
Yeah. So, one of the biggest takeaways is why I wanted to touch on like the positives of this is because we're at where we're at, and even though we might think we want things to change, doesn't mean they're going to change. So the loopholes and figuring out your deductible and all this was a really good thing, I think, even though I think things could be better. They're not, and that's just the reality of it. So it's good to know what you can do and not just complain or yell about how things could be different or whatever. Because no matter how much we want it, it's going to take big change, and people probably have more influence than us at the current moment to change anything. So whether we're to or not. So that's a good thing. That's why I like to do this kind of stuff. And, and just educate yourself, I guess, is probably one of the biggest things. And whether that's taxes or, insurance or real estate. And also, guys, I really think we should have like a passive income podcast. And Bug, I know I would love to pick your brain about it because I know a little bit about it, but I really want to know, even though we do this together, but it's the whole beauty of it. I want to know what you know so we can put our powers combined, and P and Timbo, who knows what people know. I just know what I know, Planet. Right? I know what I know, and let's put our minds together. Maybe we'll pop off some stuff we actually don't know, and then it will boost us to the next level of passive income. Or, we can even talk about how to get started, or, the bad moves, good moves. There's so many things I would love to talk about it because
so many ways, so many avenues, so many things.
I know,
dude. I've researched and I've been exposed.
Next week.
My wife laughs at me. There are things that I brought up that could probably make me thousands of dollars a month spending 30 minutes a week. And she's like, no. I'm like, just trust me. Like, let me try it. Let me just fucking fail.
Let's talk about that because I'm ready to make way, more money.
Dude, maybe next week.
And for how many people want to quit their job or tired of working their 9 to 5s every day and maybe want to make some passive income so they can do what they want, or if they want to, cut back on hours, whatever they want to do, I think it would be awesome to actually talk about it and go through that because that, my friend, would be legit. Next week, mark it on your calendars, people.
Passive income coming at you.
Yep. It's about time. But overall, guys, I think we hit some good before we end this. I think we hit some good points, good and bad, and maybe things have changed. We didn't dabble on what perfect things that can change, but we definitely educated.
I think this podcast, this is something. I'm going to be honest, boys. When Brad, you pinged up that this is what we were going to talk about tonight, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to bring to the table. I was like, I felt like I had to do way more research than I really needed to because I think my research really tailored to outside of the U.S. I knew the U.S. and what was happening and things like that. And honestly, I think that's very huge for people in the U.S. to understand. I know we have people listening outside of the U.S.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give them the credit where credit's due. But I think this is a topic, like we've talked about it for a lot of topics, that we can revisit. We can maybe have someone like Kaz from Australia or someone from another country that like has a whole different perspective on insurance. They hear this podcast and they're like, that's nothing like it where I'm at, right? Or it's similar but different, and like they can relay like their message to what it means for insurance and stuff like that. But I think it's important that we have topics that we want to come back to. I think it's very important to have topics that we want to come back to because
I actually been thinking about that a lot. Coming back to a lot of things we've talked about just to see where we're at now and how much we've changed since we started, or even like pivoted, or even, I don't know, maybe we're at the same spot. Or I would love to, I'm curious to see our conversations. I have a hunch you guys are too, because
100%.
And
what we said 2 months ago is it's the same as what we would say now, right?
Yeah. I mean, the main thing I think about is like, we promote so many things different on, for y'all can't see if you're not watching on YouTube, you're just listening in. He's got a fucking napkin bib and he's munching on, looks like rolled up ham out of the microwave.
I was gonna say like
Jesus.
If I was gonna say like the Bug okay, so if Brad had a dream of Bug eating a burrito, that's the size of the burrito that it would be.
Yeah,
I ate it with fucking elegance. Pinky up.
Yeah,
pinky up. It looks like a taquito, but it's not.
That's a cheese roll up, buddy. That's your regular lunch meat with some
for others
that string cheese.
Yeah,
others
shredded cheese.
AK, everyone who didn't hear our pre-show conversation, Brad had a dream about me, which I'm sure most of you don't. but I was 5 foot in the fucking dream. And
Yeah, very odd.
I'm easily 5'1.5", but it is what it is. So
It's so weird, but
super weird dream.
yeah. But yeah, a little side note. But back where we're at, we
Damn taquitos.
I feel like we need to definitely revisit some stuff because, for one, I think it would show a lot of growth, and I feel like that's what we promote a lot on this podcast is like growth and where we're headed and what we've kind of learned and mistakes and positives, but like how much we've grown compared to what we thought maybe before, and being able to talk about it or anything like that, or admit where you're wrong or where you're right or what you still have a firm stance on. I think a lot of stuff would be very interesting to see, and I feel like I'm curious to see where we've all changed and where we've all kind of hit that point where we're like, man, I used to think this, but my views kind of changed a little bit, and I kind of am leaning towards this now. I think it'd be very cool. I think we should do that for a lot of topics because I feel like we can hit a lot of good points now.
Can I wrap that up with one other statement? Is one of the things that I've always viewed with this podcast and like having follow-ups to conversations that we've already had are two things, maybe more, but we'll start with two things. One, I want listener feedback, and I want to take comments that people have sent us. I don't feel like we've gotten a ton of them. We used to get probably a little bit more like early on, but I want to get listener feedback on agree or disagree. Like it's 100% okay to disagree with us. Like none of us are going to get butthurt. Like me knowing these guys and Timbo and even some of the guests that we've had, like you can rail into us and it is what it is. Cause you're also easy P. You're allowed to have your opinion. You're allowed to have a perspective on things, and that's totally fine. My whole thing is I would love to have some of those comments, some of those people become guests on this show and to contradict some of the things we've said, or even, and I don't know if this is possible because we're all, Brad and P are the closest in proximity to each other. But me and Timbo, like I can't drive to these guys' houses, and neither can Timbo and whatever. But like I would love to have a live session where we have you guys taking a topic and commenting in chat. We feed off of that and we kind of dissect it as we go. But that is only going to happen the more engaged you guys get with this podcast. So the more comments, the more emails, the more whatever, the more possible that is to happen. Because we want to do that. Don't get me wrong. We want to do that. But we're only going to do it at the right time.
Yeah. I mean, good tidbit. And we'll talk a little bit more after this, but I mean, we could even get the Discord going with, putting the link out there so people can join in. We could start saying this at the beginning of the podcast, like, hey, listen in first time or whatever, or hey, hit us up on this or whatever. Cause I think, wait until the end where we say a lot of the stuff. Probably not a lot of people finish it all the way. They get a certain way through and then they stop. So saying things at the beginning might be, beneficial.
Also true. Very
so
true.
Little things that we might have to do out there, people. But all in all, I think it was successful. I wasn't exactly sure. I like to have a little bit of ideas in my mind, but we don't like to have a big super structured podcast because I feel like it'll take away from, back and forth stuff or being our natural selves. Like, hey, let's just hit this and this and this. So we kind of just do like that. And I feel like it's always been successful. That's why, when we come up with topics, we'll just say, hey, we're kind of going to do this. And we might have a few questions or maybe a direction-ish, but and also if there's more, just check this out on YouTube, please.
Tapatio will be slapping right now. My tongue's on fire.
Yeah, we're not quite up to where we are on YouTube. We're a little bit behind, but we're starting to throw our live cameras up to kind of see how we react and what we do, and you can see kind of the behind the scenes stuff. So also check that stuff out definitely, because it's entertaining. I mean, especially when Pete gets all nervous and he, starts parting his hair down the middle and, looking like a jack-o'-lantern kind of stuff. But yeah, any closing statements, fellas, before we end it?
P, hit us up.
Just be careful on the hot sauce you choose, because it could be a little too hot.
Yeah.
Burn your tongue. I know mine's just Tapatio and all, but that's all I got to say about that.
Hot sauce. You heard it here first, folks. Hot sauce is the hot topic.
Brad, what do you got to say? What do you got to say?
I don't know. There's been a lot of ups and downs and a lot of shit lately in my life, and honestly, guys, I just feeling a little grateful that we were able to do this, and we have a good time doing it, and people actually listen in, which is pretty cool. And we haven't had tons of traction, but a little more and more on TikTok or YouTube or whatever, and or even like just seeing numbers going up on downloads and stuff and people listening and stuff. And I don't know, it's just kind of cool. I'm just feeling a little grateful that we have the opportunity to actually do this shit, because a lot of people don't put the time to doing it. I don't know, I think it's just pretty cool.
Keep her tuned. Little teaser coming in.
Yeah, I would say, probably can't really say it better than that, but I think that the key thing for everybody listening is, I know Timbo's not here and he's one of the OG members here, but we've also damn it, P, I'm trying to have a heartfelt message here. You're massaging your tongue.
I would like to get more guests too, though.
In all seriousness, like, we are passionate about this, and the normal OG squad that we have is great. And then we've had Steve on a lot. We've had a guy named Joel on, which is one of Timbo's friends who's in the military. Like, we've had Kaz on, and I would love to have the opportunity to have a guest on every single week for a topic we're talking about.
Yeah.
I would also like to address anything you guys like or dislike about this podcast, because we're only going to be as good as we can be. And in our heads, we're like improving on our own, but you guys can help fuel that. And I think that for me, this is a therapeutic kind of thing. I don't always agree with Brad. Brad doesn't always agree with me, or P, or Timbo, or whatever. Like, we're very similar dudes. Yeah, we're very similar dudes. Like, the crazy thing is, we all met through gaming, and we all had a blast gaming together, and we decided to do this podcast. But when you get into a podcast, like when you're gaming, you're talking about like normal life shit, like whatever. We're getting into topics that none of us have ever explored together as four dudes like talking. Yeah. And I think it's really interesting to kind of get to know your buddies, your best friends, like in that way. But we also don't want to say we're doing it the best that we could be. So like, you guys commenting, like challenging us, is only going to make us better. And you could be on this podcast with us. Like, would love to have you. Would love to talk about what you want to talk about. So I enjoy this. It's very therapeutic for me. It allows me to kind of vent on shit that I normally wouldn't vent about. Challenges me to be like honest with myself, because I struggled with that at one point very recently. And now I'm just like, I am who I am. Like, just be honest. So this is making me a better person, making me close for my buddies, and would love to have you challenge us and make us better as well.
Yep. I mean, couldn't sit any better, and you guys could kind of be doing the same, with the listening, and maybe you're like, I agree with that, I don't agree with this, we throw out different opinions, so it'll be good. And we're going to end before P gets too wild.
Yeah, wild to know.
But, all right, people.
Let me get you.
All right, podcast. Well, share it to your friends if you enjoyed it. If you learned something, share it. We might be swapping this kind of chat to the beginning of our podcast, and then maybe going into it, because I feel like that might be more beneficial. But yeah, keep it tuned, guys, and always, one love, enjoy.
Hey, cheers, boys.
Cheers.